Yeah, okay. So I know we've got probably some more people joining us, but I do want to be respectful of your time and go ahead and move forward. So I promised that I would share just a little bit about me, and maybe you can relate to bits of my story today. And Tabitha, I think you've turned off my video, right? While we're doing this portion, is, what gets in the way of our developing potential prosperity and peace? And so could it be uncertainty or complexity resulting in overwhelm? Is it life? Is it fear? Could it be any or all of the above? And unlocking our own path or your own path to potential and prosperity sometimes just feels a little uncertain, maybe even a bit overwhelming or scary. And I understand how life can get in the way. So in May of 2017, I was in the final stages of publishing and launching my book, and also saying goodbye to my dad, who was dying. And literally while he was dying, my daughter and son-in-law found out they were having a baby boy. When he was born, he was diagnosed with a rare heart defect, required intensive invasive open heart surgery. And in the midst of that, my MCC was due. Every 3 years you've got to re-credential and get all your documents together and choose a training. And sometimes that can just feel a little overwhelming. But I did have a colleague who was firmly and persistently nudging me to participate in their program, and I'm thankful that I listened. And it gave me something besides life swirling around me to focus on. And Tabitha, if you could turn off everyone's video, please. Thank you for this portion. That's great. So this is your time. I'm delighted and thankful that you've taken this time today for you. And to listen to that still small voice, the inner nudging of what's next for you as you continue to develop your potential and prosperity, along with the people that you coach, theirs, so that you can live the life you're meant to live and reach that top 2%. I'm just amazed, actually, at the high quality leaders and coaches that I work with that face those fears, those uncertainties, that come to my mentor coaching program or come to my leadership coaching telling me they feel like an imposter, or they're so nervous or anxious about people listening to their recordings. And so what we're doing today is looking at, are you ready to unlock your coaching potential and prosperity as you do with your clients, providing top 2% service to them? And again, by the end of this master class, you're going to have clear keys and a roadmap to reaching that top 2% level to unlock potential and prosperity. So I hope you're going to love this masterclass. And I do have a gift for those who stay through the invitation, 2 tools to greater impact and income. So I hope you'll stay with me. And so how are we going to do that? We're going to look at these 3 top 2% keys for my Culturally Confident Credentialing Mentor Coaching Program with the bonus Cultural Edge. And then I promise it's going to be short, 5 minutes invitation with my help to further unlock your coaching potential and prosperity to fulfill your vision and all the bonuses that come with that. And then for those who are interested, because I know it can be confusing, I just interviewed Carrie Abner recently. That's on YouTube and social media, and my website, which is almost back up. It's been under reconstruction. About credentialing, the why and how of ICF credentialing, including recent changes. And Tabitha, could you please mute everyone for now, because I'm hearing some background noise. Thank you. And still feel free to type questions, comments in the chat. Tabitha, I can't see that now while I'm presenting, believe it or not. I don't have access to those controls while I'm presenting. But Tabitha's monitoring it, and she will stop and say, we've got some questions or comments. So what do potential and prosperity mean to you? The definition for potential is the capacity to become or develop into something in the future. So we're all hopefully continuously doing that. I love that. And it's actually part of the ICF definition, which we'll look at later on for coaching. And prosperity, I actually polled different Facebook groups, including our ICF coaching think tank. So some of the dictionary definitions are successful, flourishing, or thriving, especially financially. And then the people in the Facebook groups added all-encompassing abundance, gratitude, well-being, safety, equality. In a society where there is prosperity, people can live in peace and tap into their potential. I love that. So again, we're looking at top 2%, which I just realized, according to a recent ICF study, there are 47,500 coaches worldwide, and only about 1,000 are MCCs, so that's 2%. And even if you are not moving towards an MCC right now, you can put MCC habits into place, and that's going to benefit you and your clients. So the 3 keys to unlocking coaching potential, prosperity, and peace. As promised, we're exploring these top 2% keys. The first we're going to be looking at is agreement and how that ties into vision and your prosperity. And the second is presence and how that ties into peace. And the third is direct communication and how that ties into potential. And I've written and I've actually created an entire 7-course program on direct communication. I feel like it's the least understood and utilized of the 11 core competencies, and it has the most cultural differences. So for the agreement, we'll look at how it's unlocking prosperity, presence. We're going to practice it. And direct communication, it will be not only how you directly communicate with your clients, but also with yourself. And then, of course, we've got the bonus of the cultural competencies. So where could unlocking your coaching potential take you? And since 2003, I've been partnering with coaches as well as leaders and teams to increase their potential and prosperity without pain. And you read Jennifer Vogel's quote, who was one of my mentor coach, one of my mentor clients, and she just got her MCC, and she came to mentor coaching with those gremlins and voices in her head that were there partially because of another mentor that she'd had, telling her that she couldn't do it, and which turned out to not be the case, obviously. So for me, it's taken me to Bali. That's the top picture. I'm celebrating my birthday in 3 languages because I was helping to train Russian-speaking coaches while I was there, coach training. It's the photo on the right is at the ICF Advanced Cultural Competency event in 2013, where I served on the advisory team, just coming off the ICF Global Board. And then the picture on the left is the newest, just this last October, with Ben Croft, his arms wide in the background in Addis, Ethiopia, at the UN Conference Center for the Ethical Coach Leadership Coaching Summit. So it's taken me around the world. I work with, I've worked now in 40 countries, speaking, training, and coaching. And, whatever your vision is, I'd love to help you achieve it. And that's a key, is how agreement links to prosperity. So we know that when we have that clear, energizing vision, or our clients have that clear, energizing vision, that is something that's going to pull us forward, move us towards our goals, energize us. And so I hope you're giving some thought to your powerful vision. So the next is this image. How are you tapping into your potential through your vision? And the quote from Wilma Rudolph, Olympic champion: never underestimate the power of dreams and the influence of the human spirit. The potential for greatness lies within each of us. And I see that we're all connected. And living into our full potential and prosperity, living out our vision, goes beyond the individual to the global community. With realization of one's own potential and self-confidence in one's ability, one can build a better world, the Dalai Lama says. So where could unlocking your prosperity take you? And how could that move you toward fulfilling your vision? Our world and your clients will not be the same if you do not listen to your inner voice to unlock your potential and prosperity. Just imagine what it will be like to be confidently living that out and being fully present, partnering with your clients to reach their full potential once you and your own still small voice are satisfied with your stepping into your full potential. You'll be living a life of greater ease. So as we move into the keys, I have, for each of the 3 keys, 4 subset of keys. And for each one, the first one is what I've come up with from my 20 years of experience, is the importance of the vision tying into the agreement, And then there'll be two that ICF has set, the coach, so the middle two, coach and client fully partner to clarify the client's goals. I'll come back to that in a minute. The coach frequently checks in on the agreement. We'll also talk about that in a minute. And the final is the cultural edge bonus. So for each of these three ICF competencies, I'll have one of these slides. So the first is my key, the final is also my addition of the cultural edge, and the middle two are ICF. So the coach and the client fully partner to clarify the client's goals. So it's not just when you meet together. Well, you talked about this last time, ready to talk about that today, or choosing one of the client's goals. It's really a deep partnership, and to spend some time listening with the client, and in that, from knowing them and who they are and their learning style, coming up together with what they want from that session, how it ties into their vision, and what, of course, the measures of success are. And then it's not enough just to set it at the beginning, but also to be checking in throughout the session. Then the cultural edge bonus is that the coach and client agree on their culture, recognizing cultural differences. So what that looks like in practice is I met with a team leader and part of their team this week, and my co-team coach, and they were in a different country, my co-coach and the leaders and the team. And I asked this question of what, we're from different cultures, so what do we want our culture to look like? And they didn't know what to say. So my co-coach in that country said, well, you know how in our culture, we kind of tend to smooth things over. We want everyone to be happy. We're a little uncomfortable with conflict. And Marilyn is from the US. She's more of a direct communicator. The style is a little more open and direct. So when we're working together in our team coaching, do we want it to be more like our culture or more like hers or somewhere in between? And that was the conversation in setting our agreement. So let's pause here and see, Tabitha, do we have any questions or comments so far?
No, there aren't any in the chat box.
Okay.
We just have a couple of thank yous, and Carrie just said that she loved that example that you just shared.
Oh, good. Carrie, guess where it's from? Carrie and I are working together on a project. So, yes. Thank you. All right. So the next is the coaching competency and key of presence and centering for peaceful presence, because we really want to hold the special space for our clients. And just like I'm holding this really special place for you all today, I've been so excited about it. And one of the things I did, because I got up so early this morning, excited about being with you, is actually just going through the list of who is coming and giving thanks for each of you. So part of peacefulness is just looking at where will following your heart take you. And that's listening to that small voice as we've been talking about. And I'm inviting you to do it, just a very brief centering exercise with me today that I learned from Doug Silsby. And he's the author of Presence-Based Coaching. and ran programs on that before his untimely death. And so I'd like to share that with you today if you'd be willing to participate. And I like to do this standing up because I sit down so much, but you may sit or stand. And either way, to have your feet firmly planted on the ground and to close your eyes. If you're sitting, to have your bottom firmly planted in the chair, and just to begin to do that deep diaphragmatic breathing. And as you have your feet firmly planted, you're doing that deep diaphragmatic breathing, your eyes are closed. Just invite you to experience that space for a moment. And then to shift your body slightly to the left, experience that space, come back to center, shift your body slightly to the right, experience that space, come back to center, shift your body slightly forward, experience that space, come back to center. As you shift your body slightly back, I invite you to imagine a great big fat dinosaur tail extending from the back of your body, and that tail is in firm contact with the ground. And within that tail, just imagine all of your gifts, your experiences that you've been given, and in your life up to now, it's taken you this far. It's taken you to where you are today. Experience that space. Come back to center. Open your eyes. You can sit down if you'd like. Does anybody have a reaction to what that was like for them that they would like to share?
Anita just had written in the chat box, is the cultural edge bonus you offer something that is exclusively your specialty? And would you recommend we identify and share in our agreement as well? And Rachel just typed in that exercise was very, very peaceful. That was her reaction.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Rachel. I'm glad you experienced that way. And yes, Anita, it is a specialty area of mine. It is something that I've known for. It's something I pushed for when I was on the global ICF board, to have more recognition, to have that advanced cultural competency event, to have it recognized as we speak about and train in the competencies. It's now part of the assessor training. And yes, I do recommend that you have it as part of your original written documents with your clients, and something you do in initial conversations. Thanks for the question and the comment, Rachel and Anita.
Carrie had just remarked that she does feel calm and peaceful just taking that moment. The dinosaur tail does go ground.
Yeah, great. And you know, I've been working with United Nations around the world, leaders around the world in hotspots in 2 different agencies. And they really experience the weight of lives, lives they're carrying on their shoulders. And when I introduced that exercise with them, and they said, oh, I meditate or I pray daily at home, but I've never thought about taking a minute at the office and doing something like that. And it really helps them clear. It clears the body and the mind, because when you're doing the deep breathing, the blood flow changes in your brain. And just remembering, in the midst of the VUCA world that we live in, this volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous world, that we do have strengths and gifts that we can tap into. It's a good feeling. So the top 2% coaching presence, my key is centering, to become fully present and open before you start a coaching session, with your client as you start a coaching session. Coach and client are connected. This is at the top 2% or MCC level on a who or being level. So it's, when I train beginning coaches, it's a lot of, what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? And, you have 3 action steps by the end of the session. And as you get more experienced and you spend more time coaching and with your client, and you connect on that deeper level, then it just becomes richer. You're acknowledging who they are and really incorporating that more into the session. Curiosity without need to perform, or trusting the process. And I think it's natural for a lot of us. I can remember trying to learn how to play tennis at multiple times during my life. Never really getting the swing down. And feeling kind of awkward and, self-conscious about how I was looking on the court. And actually, Tim Galway, who came up with the inner game of tennis, was a coaching pioneer. So it's natural that as coaches, when we're starting out or in a new situation, might feel some anxiety or that need to perform, especially when you're working with these recordings, I know, for your performance assessment. And just, though, being able to relax and get into that centered place of, I'm here, I have some gifts and strengths, and I'm ready to partner with the client, and they have some gifts and strengths. And the coaching process works, and I can relax.
Marilyn, Liz just typed in, is this grounding something you use at the beginning of your coaching session?
Sometimes. Not every time, but it's sometimes. And sometimes just according to how the client shows up. If they're just kind of rushing in and seem frazzled, then I might say, would you like to? So it's, whenever we have an exercise or a tool that we're offering clients, it's an offer. I have something available to you. Would you like to do it with me? I invite you to try it. And then they have the opportunity to say yes or no. Thanks, that's a great question. The cultural edge here is that the pacing is adjusted for the client's culture and learning style and personality. So I have coached introverts before, and when I ask them a question, especially the wrap-up questions near the end of a session, so what are you getting out of today's session? One question, and then how will you move forward with your action plan? Then especially on the what are you taking away, they say, I want to spend some time thinking about that, and I'll follow through in an email with you. But they just need that time to process within themselves before they respond. So that's one example of knowing your client, their personality style, their learning style. And then the client's culture, I find in working with clients, especially in more Eastern cultures. So I've coached people in Japan and in China and Korea. The pace might be a little bit slower, with more space for reflection. And certainly if I'm working with people where English is not their native language, then I'm conscious of how quickly I'm speaking. I'm not normally a fast speaker anyway. But these are all things to be aware of and to be checking in with our clients about. So let's do a check-in right now and see how is the pacing going for you in our masterclass today, and how am I doing in terms of how I'm speaking. Do we have any comments?
We have one comment that says it's just right.
Oh, I love it. I hit the Goldilocks just right. Okay.
And then we have some follow-up. I am following well and that it's great. It's great. It's not fast, but I like it as it's calm and time to reflect.
Oh, wonderful. Great. Yeah. Okay, so we'll keep going. One more key. So you are creative, resourceful, and whole. Take that in for a minute. I invite you to take that in for a minute. How are you communicating that to yourself? And I have an image. You have the key in your hand. And that's part of direct communication, believe it or not. So let's look at these keys to direct communication. Top 2% direct communication. And that's my key, is using those you are acknowledgements. That was part of my training as a coach. And I think it's so powerful, those positive you are statements, because we don't hear them enough. We don't say them enough to ourselves. We don't hear them enough from others. We know in the workplace, it's frequently what you're not doing. And a lot of families or homes are like that too. So you are creative, resourceful, and whole. And acknowledging your client, as you're listening to them, and they may be talking about their vision and all the things they still have left, all the many goals that they haven't accomplished yet, and focusing on what they have not accomplished. And you can say, look at you. Look how far along you are already. You are resourceful. You've already completed your first 3 goals. And some people are not in the habit of doing that. And it's not okay unless it's all done. They're not okay unless it's 100% complete. So you can have a powerful role in changing that with yourself and with your clients. So the coach provides feedback without attachment and welcomes it back. Again, as I train and mentor coaches, beginning coaches get very excited about asking powerful questions, and they are exciting and powerful, and they can take you and your clients a long ways. And if you ask question after question, you are going to wear your client out. And especially if they're in rapid succession, if you're asking one after another and you're not pacing and pausing and allowing time for your client to respond. And clients want to hear back from us. They don't want to just be talking themselves. They want to hear what, as we're listening to them, what's coming up in our intuition. So this is where direct communication ties in with active listening and presence, actually, is tapping into our intuition and saying, you know, what comes up for me as you say that. Would you like to hear what comes up for me as you say that? I have an image. And then they say yes, usually. I've never had anybody say no. And you share it, and then you say, how does that land for you? And you don't, so there's no attachment when you give it. It can work or not work, your intuition and your feedback. And if it doesn't, you say, okay. Using the client's metaphors and language. I see we're getting closer to time, about 20 minutes. So metaphors are a back door to the brain, is what I call them, because they link the familiar with the unfamiliar. So when you say, what is that like for you? And your client says, it's like going down a river and hitting a boulder. Then you can say, okay, tell me about the going down the river, and what's the boulder. And you get into their metaphor with them, because as most people come to us wanting to make changes, but when the brain experiences change or changes on the way, it's like the gates go up and the alarms go on, danger, 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 because that's how we're wired, is that change can mean danger. But the metaphor pairs something familiar with the unfamiliar, the newness, the change. And our brain isn't as much alarmed. So it's a powerful way of working with people. The cultural edge bonus is how to design the desired level of directness. So in that conversation that we have, even in establishing an agreement, I'll just give you an example here of an organization in Japan, based in Japan, who contracted with me to work with some of their leaders. So in the contracting phase, I asked, how direct do you want me to be? I know your culture tends to be less direct. So do you want me to show up more my fully direct, Western self, adjust more to your culture, or something in between? They said, no, we're hiring you because you are from the West and because you are direct. And we want you to be direct because we're working internationally. We have offices around the world. Our leaders need to know how to handle direct communication. Well, if I had just assumed this is a Japanese company, I need to be less direct, they would have been disappointed, but probably not have told me that, because that might have been too rude. I would have just lost business. They wouldn't have kept working with me. Or if I had just not had that conversation at all and shown up and be my Western direct self, and that wasn't what they wanted, then they could have thought that I was rude and even offensive, and again, disengaged with me. So how does that impact your potential and prosperity? I've got this cultural awareness discovery kit. We're really not going to have very much time to go into this, but again, if you stay on through the invitation, then you'll receive this 2 tools to impact an income, and this will be part of it. So this is a place to pause as you're starting to work with someone new. Which of my own cultural identities do I most identify with? What do the cultural identities of my client, what do they most identify with? And then how might bias be at play, or how we might need to adjust in our culture, in our working together, and how would we address it so it doesn't block potential and prosperity, because we can lose business over this, and it does impact the coaching. So if you have someone where I'm looking at weight right now, they are heavier than they want to be. The culture that they're in emphasizes people who are very fit. Then they may have some messages around that for themselves that may be impacting how they show up in the office. It's something good for you to know about in your work together. So,
Marilyn, we had a question just a couple minutes ago from Rachel. What do you mean about without attachment, without judgment?
Okay, let's go back there. So, yes, so when we're choosing to share our feedback with a client, our intuition or our feedback to them, then we're saying, this is what's coming up for me when you say that. But if they say that doesn't fit for me, I heard your intuition, I heard your image, I heard your feedback, and thank you, but that doesn't fit. Then you say, okay, you let go of it. You don't have an attachment that you are right and they are wrong, that it has to be your way. Does that make sense, Rachel?
She had just clarified, I meant, does without attachment mean without judgment or other things as well?
Yes.
She said, yes,
you.
That's great.
Okay, good. All right. So now I'm going to stop that share and take you somewhere else. All right. Can you see that?
Yes, we can see the webpage.
Okay. All right. So what I'm inviting you to now is my mentor coaching program to advance your coaching and credentials so that you can be in that top 2%, differentiate yourself in the marketplace. And some of the features for this. It's an opportunity to earn more because credentialed coaches report higher fees and annual income, increase your business. What you get is the completion of the 10 hours of mentor coaching requirements plus 10 hours of ICF continuing education of core competency towards your credentialing or renewal, plus, because you can earn even more continuing coach education by reading the Coach's Guide to Becoming Culturally Confident. It's my publication, 31 pages, designed to give you that added cultural edge. It's so crucial in our diverse global world. And you have opportunities for even more because I'm sharing with you some of my MCC coach recordings. And when you go through those with the unique feedback tool that I've developed that integrates the coaching and the cultural competencies, then you get continuing coach education for listening and reviewing those recordings as well. Plus, you get the written and oral feedback from me, an experienced master certified coach, your colleagues from diverse trainings, experiences, and backgrounds, or individual mentor coaching. And you get the 7 1-hour live, which are also recorded mentor coaching sessions. They're video. I don't know why it says group. The 3 individual practice peer coaching, the celebration of successes, and the private, it's usually linked in group to interact with your peers and build community. And the group size is limited. I already have 2 people signed up for it, including one that's on the call today. And we also have a graduate, an alumni from the program on the call today, Marion. I wondered if Marion wanted to unmute and share for a minute.
Oh, Marilyn, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd be delighted to. I was making a few notes as I was preparing for this call and thinking about our time together, and I've just made a note on my takeaway. One of my takeaways from this session today. I've been in classes with Marilyn, the culturally competent coach class, direct communication without crossing a line, mentor coaching, and also in supervision with her. And I keep coming back. What I've found is that Marilyn delivers what she promises. I mean, this list of offers, of ingredients in the 3-month program is something that will happen. There's always this marvelous learning. And another benefit is that she draws extraordinary people into her classes. So it's a total learning environment with everybody learning from everybody. And then the thing that I want to say about today's session, the centering exercise that you did, Marilyn, in working on that today, what I'm taking away is something about how to stay grounded when off center. Yeah, and that's actually something that I can use with my coachees.
Wonderful.
That'd be fun to experiment with them.
Great. Thank you, Marion.
Oh,
Hey. So the rest of you be thinking about, would you like my help in joining the top 2% with keys like you're getting today to unlocking potential and prosperity while advancing your ICF credentialing? Starting this month, it starts January 22nd. And we've got some other testimonials here. There's one from Ann Coelho. I had the pleasure of participating in Maryland's Culturally Confident Virtual Mentoring Program and grew my coaching skills and abilities by quantum leaps. The importance of our clients' culture was crystallized as well, and how they relate to the ICF coaching competencies, which clearly sets apart this mentoring program from all the rest. I was told when I was looking for mentor coach, there was none better than Marilyn, and they were right. And from Tiffany Carlson in the UK, you have an amazingly peaceful presence that invades all our calls. I find this creates a safe space for me to explore, comment, and ask questions. You have a great belief in our capability as coaches, and this is encouraging. So it is a place, I know it can be a little unnerving to come and have people listen to your coach recordings and provide feedback. And so it's a safe, supportive learning environment. This is one from a participant in China. I found not only the competencies, but also inner transformation happened dramatically. At the beginning of the program, I felt myself lacking confidence, almost like a turtle, slow and worried. With your love and patience, I gained back my courage. And Carrie's got a question. Thanks, Carrie. What happens in the mentor group calls? Do we bring recordings? Yes, you do. And what would I recommend in terms of recordings, new clients, old clients? I would recommend it's not your first coaching session, someone that you are already working with, because it takes, our initial coaching session is primarily focused on the agreement. And for the calls that you would be submitting for a performance assessment, you need to demonstrate all 11 core competencies. Now, within the mentor coaching program, you would have an opportunity to share not only ones that you're working on for a performance assessment, but ones, and people will do this where they say, I don't think this one went very well, and I want other people to listen and help me see what I could have done differently. Okay, great. All right. So this is the page, mentorcoachmcc.com. I do have space available. Again, I already have people that have signed up, and the ICF limits it to 10. But I would love to have you join us. And so there's 2 places on the page where you can do that. The big sign up now. And there's the investment. This is like a 2-for-1 with the coaching and the cultural competencies. And I'm offering it at half the price of my individual coaching. And so you've got the dates. It meets at the same time of day because it's the most internationally friendly. And we would schedule our own times for the 3 individual sessions, and then the 7 group sessions are set on Tuesdays. All right, so we've got, oh gosh, we're almost out of time. So I'm going to stop that share and go back to anyone. Let's see. Can you all see the other slides again?
Yes, we can see the slides now.
Okay, great. Because for anyone who had questions about ICF, we've already covered that as we looked at my page, and it's in your guide. But why now? More organizations are requiring it for contracting. I'm part of a 3-year contract where they only wanted MCC coaches. And it's never going to be easier. ICF keeps changing it. It becomes more and more rigorous. Again, you had this in your guide. I did want to spend a little bit of time here if anyone had any questions about this. I've asked ICF to do something like this, but they haven't done it. It's all on each page, ACC, PCC, MCC. But this is what it looks like, the requirements for each level. And for the mentor coaching, for any level that you're going for, you need the 10 hours. You also need the 10 hours for an ACC renewal. And for an MCC, you cannot use the same 10 hours that you used for the ACC or the PCC. It has to be a new 10 hours by an MCC. And the change in the last year or so is that it counts for the continuing coach education units as well. So I think we're almost at the hour. And I want to pause again and just say thank you so much for accepting my gift, for joining today. And please stay in touch. If I can be of any help along the journey, I would love to do that. If you're ready to move ahead with my help and be part of that top 2%, be coaching like that, learning to coach like that, then I would love to be part of that next step in your coaching development. So I just want to ask you, what steps are you ready to take to achieve that? I want to partner with you. And for those who are signing up today for my mentor coaching program, besides everything that you get in the program, I am going to gift you with the Breaking Free from Bias book. And I promised those of you who stayed on, you could have get the tools, the 2 impact and income tools. So if you'd like that, please write in the chat, yes, please send me the tool. And I'm seeing people say, thank you. It was great having you here. Wonderful. Good to see you. Gail and Kumar, Anita. Liz, glad you could make it. Marion, wonderful. And Tabitha, thank you for your help today. Do we have any further comments or questions? Well, I'll be excited to close out of here and see who's signed up for the program, who's going to be joining us for that next phase. Any tips on converting any of the 2% we have into sales or website mentions? Oh, thank you. Marianne says, if you're still trying to decide, I suggest taking the step. Rachel, I think that sounds like a good follow-up program for me to develop. Thanks for the idea. Thank you all for your participation. If we don't have anyone else asking questions or comments, I think we can stop the recording. People are writing, I see you all writing in the chat about